Everyone, welcome to IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Tex Homer. This is Paul Wadlington. We're going to talk a little bit about the Portal, the new wide receiver we got, Mosley, out of Stanford. And then Paul did us a favor, did a little Ohio State spring scout for us so we can know what we're going to be dealing with here come August. You guys don't forget, $1 for 4 months right now. Join Inside Texas. Crazy deal. It'll get you into the fall. There's no way to beat it. We're also doing something really cool with Academy. So not this Friday, but the following Friday, we're going to be playing Texas A&M in baseball. We want you guys to come out to the Inside Texas Tailgate giveaway. We're going to release the exact location here the next couple days. But Academy's hooking it up, guys. If you come, you can enter. It's free to enter. You can win a Blackstone griddle right there, the Yeti cooler, the Texas canopy, 2 Texas UT folding chairs, and 2 20-ounce Ramblers, all for free. No purchase necessary to enter. Just come to the tailgate, guys. So that's a cool deal. Whenever I saw Academy was doing this, I was like, man, maybe I need to ask Academy if they can just give all of this to me. So it's a cool deal, and it's a good way to come support the number 1 team in the nation in Texas baseball. Academy giveaway, guys. Be on the lookout for it. It's actually a hell of a giveaway. Whenever I saw the list, I was like, you can have a whole tailgate with that. Roaster, good morning. Always dedicated and by our side, Roaster. All right, let's talk Mosley first, and then we'll talk about what else we want to get from the portal. So I watched his highlights. Super quarterback friendly. I enjoyed him on those quick outs from the slot was really important. I like what he was able to do in the red zone. I thought was important too. So not a crazy burner guy, like not when you think of like the Sark speed guy, not that, but consistent, was able to find spots in the zone. He'll help in Arch Manning. He'll help you on the third downs. And what I saw was important. There was like a 3rd and 9. They dialed up a play for him. There was one in the red zone where they put him at running back, and I think he ran a wheel. So that shows you, again, in the clutch spot, they made a formation for him. That's important to me because those are coaches deciding at some point, hey, we really like this guy, and let's try to get him into the scheme. So I enjoyed Mosley's tape. I think he's going to be a reliable receiver for us. And he did some good things at Stanford as a freshman. So what do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I would. So when Andrew Luck, the GM of Stanford, fired Troy Taylor, I knew the 30-day window was coming. So I went and scouted their roster, and he was one of the names I came up with, along with David Bailey, a couple of other guys that have entered the portal and making a bit of a splash. And I was like, hey, yeah, this guy's good enough to play at Texas. The question is, what's our priority level? Are we taking 2 receivers? Yeah. I think we're going to try to take another receiver in the portal, but we can talk about that in a second. So as for Mosley, his constraints may not just be his own ability, but it was quarterback play. If you watch
noodle arm, dude.
If you watched any Stanford football last year, I think there's a reason they showed Ashton the door. And
I was watching. I was like, man, the quarterback takes forever to get like a little quick stick route to him.
I mean, that guy has a windup, and it's hard to watch that guy sort of play quarterback. And Ashton Daniels is the name, of course. He transferred out, and I think do you know where he's the backup now?
No idea.
I will come up with that info via the magic of Google. Oh, he's at Auburn. So he's the break glass in case of Jackson Arnold emergency. So there's a more than 50% chance that we see him take real snaps this year, Connor.
Yeah.
Jackson Arnold giveth and he taketh away, depending on the game. This guy does the same. Auburn is attracted to mercurial quarterbacks. I don't know why, but it's part of their branding. But yeah, they had limitations at quarterback. So I don't think we fully know what Mosley is, because I watched him and I'm like, oh, he's kind of a possession receiver, kind of like a crafty freshman who plays like a veteran. And then the more I watched, I was like, I actually think these are the only routes that Ashton Daniels can throw.
So the average depth of target concerned me at first, because I was like, man, he's just kind of sitting down or doing like a quick out or, something like that for a majority of the tape. But then same thing. Once I saw the quarterback's arm ability, I was like, okay, this might just be the coaches are being very practical and Stanford smart on how to get the ball to Mosley.
Well, Daniels had a weird, like, hitchy wind up. I mean, I don't know how that guy didn't throw 20 interceptions, because he's about to throw the ball. He gives you like a 1.5 second warning, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to throw it. Get ready. So anyway, we will see what that guy looks like when paired with Arch Manning, when paired with DeAndre Moore, and of course Ryan Wingo and some other talented folks. But I think he is just the beginning of our portal acquisitions of pass catchers. I think we're going to go after a bunch. I think we're going to go after some elite guys. So you guys, it's the night before portal.
Yeah. And Eric was talking on the board that the guy that he thinks will go in, he's not sure of. We'll have to kind of see. It's always kind of tricky. And I think Eric kind of mocked him to like a 3rd round talent, something like that. Of course, not saying who it is, but we'll kind of see. But I like the Mosley addition. I thought he's going to be solid. I think he's going to be really good for Arch if he's able to sit down over the middle like that. And I think on PFF he was like 65% in the slot or something like that. So he was slot dominant at Stanford. But I think he'll be a quarterback's best friend. Now, some of the offense is not Sark's offense. We don't run a ton of like run and sits, but he did some stuff in the end zone, and Ian pointed it out. He did some stuff in the end zone that felt like Matthew Golden, just in his body control, his angling.
Strong hands.
Yeah, strong hands. So I don't think he has the speed of Matthew Golden because Matthew Golden had the fastest speed in the combine. But he moved like him in the red zone. I thought that was important. And there was a couple sideline, the ability to track the ball in the sideline that I thought was really good. He can contort his body. He has good spatial awareness. These are all things that bail quarterbacks out. And if he can do that deep, Arch is willing to throw deep. That's going to give Arch a lot of confidence to give it a go.
Yeah, you texted me that he has strong yet supple carrying hands.
Yes. Yeah.
So I didn't really know what that meant, but I just gave you a thumbs up.
Well, I mean, we'll see in the NFL, Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. That's a scouting thing. I'm really good at that. And then the Louisville game where he just kind of just
went off.
He just went sicko mode for whatever reason. So
he was lined up across from Alric Elamenor, who was an NFL.
Yeah, he also had some insane performances.
So he is second all time in freshman receiving yards at Stanford. Do you know who number 1 is?
I think I cheated. I think it was Richard Sherman.
You son of a gun!
Yeah,
I thought I would stump you, and you would not.
You would have, but I saw it like right before we went on the show.
So most people don't know that Richard Sherman, his first 2 years at Stanford, I think he was a wide receiver, and then he got converted to corner. The rest is history, as they say. But yeah, I mean, look, any freshman that can come in and kind of be a reliable guy, I think that's impressive. Even though it was a 3-9 Stanford team and all that. Look, the point is he passes the eyeball test. He was a 4-star recruit, played at Santa Margarita in that league with Matter Day and all those other, like Bosco, all those other like that little superpower high school conference that's 45 minutes from USC. So anytime we get players from there, they've played like really good competition. So I think he's a good get. I still think we're going to pursue one more elite receiver. And I still think we want to get at least one elite tight end or as good as possible, if not elite. Because tell you what, a little presage, a little foreshadowing. Ohio State really opened my eyes about the level of pass catcher that we need to get to really unleash Arch.
In Texas the past 2 years, where it's just
absolutely,
we can look at ourselves from the past 2 years on what we required. What I was worried about when we got Mosley, and Paul said at the eye test, is where I was like, all right, we're good. Anytime, and this is also important in the scores here, anytime you're facing a bad team, like some of the first stats you'll see in that ACC Mosley tape is like Clemson beating them by like 35 points. And then he makes a catch. And I'm like, I don't care. The DBs don't even care. But once you watch through it, the scores get tighter. He was making plays in game situations, like I said, situationally, 3rd and 9, red zone. That's what I'm looking for. I don't really care if he makes a cool catch when Clemson's beating them by 30. But the eye test is all there for him. And he has 2 years of eligibility.
I can assure everyone watching that's a Texas fan and the Mosley family and Emmett, you're about to experience a serious upgrade in quarterbacking and general offensive design. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, he will. And like we said, 2 years, which is important.
All right, we got a super chat.
Yep. Tucker Foster. Do y'all think Sark will go after the tight end from Cal? I have not scouted him.
Yeah, there's a tight end from Cal who did enter the portal. He was pretty productive for them last year. He's a long guy who runs pretty decently. I don't think he's much of a blocker, but he is a pass catcher. And I think he's a guy we'll certainly be in contact with. We're going to see who enters the portal as well, though. I think Texas wants to take the best possible tight end. I don't think it's beyond the pale that we take 2. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I don't even want, who naturally goes in the portal. I want this to have been solved in January on who happens to go in the portal, because that position's so high risk. We need back channeling agents to kind of leverage this one.
Texas doesn't engage in that.
Yeah, for sure. But that's when you're dealing with those kind of positions, that's not a wait and see position for me. I want to see some dudes, especially when you're talking about we might need to take 2. Ian says the same thing.
Oh, Ian's saying that now?
Yeah, he was saying that. I don't know. On last Wednesday's show. He always copies me. You know how it is, dude.
Ian's got
You're so influential to him.
I am. I am.
Everything he knows, dude.
He's coming around to my bad perspectives.
One more wide receiver and a tight end, and I think we got some cooking. I think, yeah. We still want a ceiling wide receiver. We'll talk about that why. We lost DuBose, which, shout out to him.
Well, yeah, I mean, DuBose, he was kind of a guy that I don't think there was a place for him, and he just needs to go play football.
But to replace that number with a player of that caliber is big.
I think we are looking at a 1-year rental NFL type guy. That's the goal. Mosley gave us some floor, right?
Yeah.
But I think the goal is to go get a guy who gives us some more ceiling, spreads the field out. He can even be our number 1 potentially. We'll see. So I have an idea of who we might be interested in, who might enter the portal, but I can't say it. So I'm eager for Wednesday so we can start talking about these guys.
Yeah.
Also, it'll be instructive if some of them enter with a no contact.
Well, that's what cracks me up. What was the running back that just went in? And then, he's projected to go to OU. It's like, wow, that was a really quick phone call.
Oh, was it Jaden Ott?
Yeah, they're like, they got to him quick. I'm not going to say it, but it's Jeremiah Smith, guys.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And we'll talk about him shortly. But I like that. So we definitely want a tight end, maybe 2. We want another wide receiver that we can sell on the Matthew Golden plan and the AD Mitchell plan. Hey, come in here. You have the measurables. Now that you need the offense to unlock you, and then you can head off to the NFL. That's models work for us. And then what other positions are you still in the market for, a guard or a tackle?
Tackle, preferably.
Okay.
They don't tackle go on trees.
Yeah. Man, this recruiting class, though.
What if they did?
It'd be a lot easier. A lot easier. It'd help our NIL a lot, too. Help our cap.
Yeah, I would take a tackle. I'd take another DT.
Okay.
And then I'd go best available. Just like someone that catches our fancy. I still think we need a running back, but I guess I'm in the minority because we're writing lots of Christian Clark hype videos.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I do feel better about running back hearing that about Clark, because the first question was like, look, we need a running back because we don't know about Baxter or Clark. So that one was like, you're dire. Now I'm taking an Ott, if they were on the board, something like that. But I don't think we needed to shore up the room so much as I did, but I would still take a top running, just like I would take a top anybody at a position. So that'll be kind of the trick.
That's it.
I feel good about edge. I feel good about linebacker. Feel good about corner. I think I feel good about safety.
Yeah, I feel really good about linebacker. I think for some reason people were concerned about numbers or depth there. We mostly play 2 guys there. And the guy we brought in from Arkansas, Spence, is apparently
doing well behind Anthony.
Well. I think we actually are going to have a rotation at linebacker. I think we've got 5 guys we feel comfortable with.
Because we got Trey Moore, we got Leonga, we got Tyanthony Smith, who everyone knows is going to be in.
Tyanthony Smith is going to get on the field.
Yeah. So it's I feel really good at linebacker and edge. I think we need another guy, like you said, at DT. Because I think Eric reported that these aren't going to be a killer DT room, but the floor is good, which is
it's hold the line.
That's what we need, man. Just don't get run all over. All right, cool. I don't need crazy pass rushing interior, I guess.
I think our playmaking is going to happen at linebacker and edge.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel in secondary at all? I feel why I say maybe with safety is like I feel super good about our up fronts at safety. But if Taft gets hurt now, I feel totally different.
You know who I would take
Who?
if available, like someone really interesting? I'd take a nickel.
Okay, just because we have lack of surety there.
Yeah, and I think Jelani McDonald might feel more comfortable at safety.
Yeah. More
So
comfortable and wants, from what we've heard, wants to play safety.
Yeah, and I think Jelani would be an awesome safety. So,
Yeah.
I think he can play anything, to be honest.
He could. He's a special athlete, but older nickel, I think, is a good one too. Because we had just the youth we have at the position and the different body types. It's like we haven't really zoned in on what we want there. But it'll be interesting for the portal. And when does it open? Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Which is weird because we're still in spring ball. You think Sark did some strategy on this as well? Like pushing I think it's smart, dude. Like make it to where
he wants to know what he's got.
I know. Well, and the player doesn't know in my second or third until like a day to choose. So it feels like there's some strategy in choosing this window as well. Because you see the teams that have already done with spring, their guys are hopping in.
What is it? Well, the portal runs both ways, right? So we're going to see some guys portal out because Sark's going to have some conversations with guys and say, hey, here's where we see you at Texas. And it's not on the field.
And we churn the bottom of the roster, man. Like whenever I laid out our depth chart visually, man, we don't, if you're an older player, you're either starting or you're not there anymore. Yeah. So it's like, dude, it's like we just kind of whittle down like an NFL team.
I think it's, I prefer to call it enforcing a vitality curve, Connor.
Yeah.
I like to speak in euphemisms, but honestly, I think a lot of it's self-selection. I think you do reach a point in your college career where like, you're kind of like, you know what, man, I think I might want to go try to start at Baylor.
Correct. That guy's getting second round mocks and I can play at SMU today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope Freddie DeBose goes to UTSA or UTEP or something and becomes the man there. And tries to catch 70 balls and just play a bunch of football, right?
Yeah.
And look, the ladder goes up and the ladder goes down. So there's guys who have dropped down for a year to a lower level, played well, and then they elevate back up and they find themselves at another, higher power conference or Power 2 Big Ten SEC program. So, we're going to see a lot of movement. We're certainly seeing that in basketball. I mean, like Texas just got a guy, Traore. Yeah. We're his fourth school, and he's not a problem. He's not
on the transfer graphic. It was like,
and it's not like he's a discipline issue. He literally is walking the ladder. He's climbing the ladder of college basketball. He started here, and each year he goes to a higher level, and he's going to culminate his career at Texas. So that's just how it's going to be from now on.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, guys. Before we keep going, let's hear from Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Days like this, the anticipation's half the fun. The call to adventure. Possibilities in every direction. Look at that. The stories you'll bring back. Even the true ones. And already, you can't wait until next time. From first catch to biggest catch of the season, this is where it starts. Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there.
All right. Coming up with enforcing a vitality curve makes me think that's the evil boss way of making it sound intellectual and actually kind. Whenever you were doing your sales team, right? The guy that couldn't sell.
I don't like to think of this, Connor, as your last day. I like to think of it as your first day of your new life.
You sleep a little better at night. You're like, I just enforced the vitality.
And then you slide the NDA across the table. Sign this and we'll give you a small bonus payout.
Yeah.
Yes, I have been a manager and I have had to fire a few people in my day. It's true.
Yep. The depth at linebacker. What is this you speak of? Yeah, we got it now.
So go back to 2021 and say in the year 2025, Arch Manning will be our quarterback and the strength of our defense will be edge and linebacker.
I know. It's so weird.
You would kind of been like, I don't know about all that.
You know what's funny is people, there's the fan side that points out things and then the natural reaction is like, don't complain or whatever. complaining has been nothing but beneficial with this stuff. Like every time we complain about a position, they make it one of the best in the nation.
It's almost like Sark is watching the same football team that we're watching.
Exactly.
He's making adjustments.
So this is what's crazy. This is the first time that it's like, wow, our coach did notice there's a hole in the roster there. But we're like, where are the edges? So that's what's been nice. Is just like, oh, okay, these coaches make sense. We got another one. Pena from Syracuse just went in the portal. A lot of impact guys starting to hit the portal. So this is. Do you think we're going to make up for a week kind of December portal?
We're going to find out because this will be interesting, and I think I'm going to probably write an article about this on Inside Texas. In the fall, we saw teams do a very good job of defending their team of retention, right? So they realize, hey, the purpose of NIL primarily is first retain the guys you want to retain on your roster.
Right.
Then you can go and use the excess to go acquire talent. Because 2 years ago, apparently no one realized retention was a big deal, and they allowed people to just come in and just raid their rosters and just swoop in and just like Vikings in 9th century England, just sail up the Thames and jump out of their longship and grab a bunch of slaves and head back.
Yeah.
So I think people did a much better job of defense. Now is the last chance to go acquire people. And also now we've got hierarchies in the spring. People have had spring practices or are in the midst of spring practice. And we're going to start to see some players realize, like, I'm a senior. I play wide receiver. This new quarterback's not good.
Right.
This is not good, man. I need to go, like, show out for my final year. You know, kind of the Matthew Golden math, right? So it's going to be very interesting. If people defend the portal again pretty well again in the spring, the game's fundamentally changed. Like from what we thought the portal was going to be. If not, you're going to see an excess flood of people entering the portal in the spring and some really big bidding wars. Because I can tell you, I'm already starting to look at like writing my preview and doing some preliminary analysis. Almost everyone in the freaking college football needs a defensive tackle and a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And a tight end. So there's going to be some bidding wars for some guys. It's going to be, it may be to your benefit to enter the portal this spring.
Yeah, key positions. And that's what's going to be interesting if they can defend, especially if smaller schools can defend. Because now you're getting in the portal, essentially you're not getting just the free-for-all. You're getting disgruntled guys with NFL potential that will make those moves, opposed to just anybody. And so that'll be interesting. Now, that's not great, right? Because that means you're going to have to pay so much more now if like it's these targeted NIL entries versus just having a whole pool to pick from.
Yep.
But also, let's be honest, a lot of times these deals are upfronted. They kind of know who's going in. I mean, you just see how quick these predictions come out, you know, for, hey, players in the portal 3 minutes later, hey, it looks like they want these 3 schools. It's like, you know, so there's some gamesmanship there. It's not always you can do the Lincoln Riley plan where you get a kid to go in the transfer and then you let him take 2 fake visits and then you let him commit. So there's ways of kind of obfuscating that, but it will be interesting with the NIL. And thank you, Sailor Joe. You led us right into it. Is Nico the peak of excitement in the portal this week, or do you think we will get one more chaos curveball?
We will have another chaos curveball. I do think Nico represents a shot across the bow to everyone to go get professional representation and not listen to your father / uncle / street agent guy who was selling T-shirts out of a car trunk like 6 months ago before he became an agent. So, I think the Nico thing is a group of people who've never negotiated anything in their lives, and they completely misplayed their hand. And it came at the expense of a 20-year-old guy who is trying to listen to his dad.
Yeah, the thing with Nico is I'm not mad at Nico. He ends up being a proxy for like all of our arguments.
I just hope he's a wake-up call for other young men to realize that this is big business now, and you can't half-ass this with some dude that you met on Twitter.
Well, if you go to the NFL, right, you have to have a credentialed agent.
You do now, because if you recall, there were some incredible scandals.
Right. But the
agent
thing is now, if you have a guy in college who's not credentialed, meaning that he can't continue with you in the NFL, he's incentivized to get his 10 or 5% today. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And that's always an agent. But the problem is he's not an NFL agent, meaning he's not going to play the long game, wait for that contract in 5 years and get more on his 10%. So your college guy now has a 1 or 2 year shot to leverage you. And so he's going to try to max your deal. And you will max your deal. I think Nico's still going to make the money. But now you've added a PR crisis. Now you've added the NFL kind of looking at you sideways. There's a lot of back-end money you might have forfeited there, but also we don't have a great memory as humans. So I think in 5 years on the next contract, are they really going to be pinging Nico for this? They're not. But it does suck for Nico because he's going to be the first of hundreds that are going to do this holdout thing. But if you're the first, man, you're going to face the ire of everybody. You're going to be the representative for what's wrong with college football,
So I think 4 years ago, I wrote an article when I saw all this coming. And I said that one of the biggest changes will be the professionalization of college attitudinally. Meaning, if you and I went to a game and Casey Thompson threw an interception and you started booing, I would elbow you and be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, that's our guy. Like, it's college guy. Like, relax. If that happens now, it's pro football, man.
Right.
It's just, it is. That's how it is. And people, like, even on the internet, you'll see people writing, our kids, that's all gone.
And I fall into it sometimes too. And then if you say anything about a quarterback at Texas in general, they'll have the crowd of like, come on, man, he's just a great guy.
That's our guy.
Yeah. And it's like, guys, he's making $10 million. Like you can do it. You can criticize now.
Well, and I'm not encouraging people to boo. I mean, my point is that it's going to shift how you review and regard players now. It's the professionalization of sports. And we do treat NFL players very differently historically from college players. Mm-hmm. That is, the lines there are going to completely blur. And you're going to see people going on Twitter saying so-and-so, this 19-year-old guy who transferred from us is a bum. He's a loser.
Well,
people are very comfortable writing that about Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
They're not comfortable writing that about a 19-year-old quote-unquote kid. That's all going to shift and change. Once you start taking money, people are going to start having an opinion about you, and they're going to express it.
Well, that was part of the social capital, right? They were getting a raw deal, so in turn, we would be nice to them. It was like part of like a little bit.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like they got a raw deal, but now it's different, and we are seeing that kind of shift where, and I'll even do it sometimes, man. I'm like, man, they're just kids, and I'm like, I mean, they're legal adults making millions of dollars. I like you to do your job on the field.
I also am a little revolted at calling 20-year-olds kids. I prefer young man.
Right.
Like D-Day that beach wasn't stormed by kids.
Right. And that switch is happening. But I see the argument always of like, man, go light on him, man. It's like, no, he's being paid to do a job now. It's a little different. All right. Can't wait for the Schadenfreude of both the SEC and Big Ten rating other conferences rosters.
It's a Texas live stream when we've got obfuscate and Schadenfreude used within 5 minutes of each other.
Ryland talks Sooners. What do y'all think about Jaden Ott potentially ending up at OU?
I actually know Jaden Ott, a little bit about him because I did live in the Bay Area, like at the beginning of his career. I remember him coming to Cal. He is small. He's got home run speed. He's a guy who can seal the deal with one carry if it's blocked right. He's struggled some with injuries. Smaller guy. I think he's going to be your changeup back. If you guys ride him and give him 20, 25 carries a game, you'll get 400 or 500-yard games before he gets hurt, right? If you make him a 12 to 15 carry guy, splitting the load, I think that's his optimal use. But he is a single run, home run threat. He's got real long speed in pads. He's not just like a track guy, but he's a smaller guy. And I think a lot of it's going to be contingent on your offensive line play, Ryan. So he's a good back. I personally don't think a back short of a Adrian Peterson, Ricky Williams changes your football program completely, but he's good. He's on, he's a quality guy with home run long speed. So I think that's the appeal of Jaydn Ott. The question for him, as with anything, Rylan, is what'd you pay?
Yeah.
The truth is, I think Nagy was hired to babysit Venables with regards to some of these things, right? Or help him. Because I think the Sooners overpaid for some guys last year, frankly, that did not perform at their pay grade. So Demonic Williams leaps to mind. And I think, part of having a professional PR personnel guy like Nagy is to go, hey, Jaydn Ott is worth $273,000 to us. So if they're asking for 500, we say no. If we can get him for 225, great. Let's add him to the roster.
Yeah. And that cold calculation matters, man. Building out your depth and all that stuff, man. Like, because running backs, like, they're just not, unless they're at the top tier, like top 3 in the sport, don't overpay for them.
No. And just the truth is that the lower the level of football, the more a running back can dominate a football game.
Yeah.
So high school running back, dude, someone can run a 9-man front and that guy can still rush for 225, right?
Well, yeah.
But as you rise each level of football, with the NFL being the culmination, running backs are less and less dominant without a supportive infrastructure.
Right.
But there's always Saquon Barkley. I get it.
Dude, so running backs are the cherry on top. Dude, if you got everything else and then you add a Saquon Barkley, this team last year with Bijan, that's where things start to change. But if you're kind of a middling offensive line and you get a top back, like we saw, we had Bijan and we went 8-5 with him. So it's like everything has to be in place for the running back to truly activate. But having a home run hitter also matters. It kind of reminds me of Jaden Blue in that regard 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Where it was just like nothing, 80 yards. Nothing, 80 yards.
It is a shift in the mindset of college football, because 40 years ago, if you would have said, hey, would you rather have Marcus Allen at running back or Troy Aikman at quarterback?
Yeah.
College football coaches go, I need Marcus Allen. I need my bell cow. I need my guy, getting 30 carries, grinding out yards. Troy Aikman, he's going to throw the ball around a little, but that's not winning football. That's all shifted, right? College coaches now would all pick the quarterback over the running back.
Yeah. Jonathan Brooks is one of the smoothest running backs I've seen today. Brooks did that too. Like, Brooks would go for 80 yards on you whenever. Brooks is one of my favorite backs. Just how he moves, man. His slashing style was so cool, man.
Very deceptive.
Yeah.
Just such an interesting runner, and very, like, it's not hard to watch Bo Jackson and say, I understand why he is successful at running the football.
Yeah.
And you could describe him very easily. Huge, incredibly fast, angry, right? With Jonathan Brooks, you're like, what's he best at? And you're like, running the ball? Like, you don't really
perfect blend of traits that are more than the sum of their parts.
Yeah, it's very subtle. And he was a lot of fun to watch. I miss that guy. I hope he can get healthy in the NFL.
So do I, man. Because even was he at Hallettsville, wherever his tape?
Yeah, he played what, 3A?
Yeah, he's played small ball and he was a killer, man. I really liked the evaluations Drayton was making when he was with us at running back. He's probably one of my favorite running back evaluators. Now I know Bijan wasn't hard to see, but I like some of the guys he pulled. His high school tape had me impressed. Yeah. OU is faced with a tough decision. Give to NIL efforts of the Sooner version of Charlie Strong, knowing he'll eventually be let go, or boosters go all in to try to save pride for short-term success. I can't read today.
You use the word obfuscate, and then
I can't. I'm also illiterate.
you got it in your SAT word, and now you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
So I understand what Mr. Holly is referring to there. I think the Texas hope, frankly, between you and me in a live chat, is that we don't want them to go 5-7, even as glorious as that might be, right? Because then they're going to go get Kenny Dillingham or something. I think you want them to go 8-4, right?
make the fire hard, and then because the fan will go like, well, next year we got these guys,
But simultaneously, you're kind of miserable because you're like, we're not signed up to go 8-4 at OU. Like, look at our history.
Yeah.
And then it makes people feel very like, are we not prepared for this new era of football? Have things like shifted under our, like you start to have self-doubt. And OU hasn't had that feeling since John Blake.
Our fans will provide you guys are Nebraska, actually.
Believe me, I've written that article.
Yeah. So, that is, you want the middling. That's why with Texas, when they fired Herman, that was interesting, right? Because we were in that lurch, in that spot, like a little bit of success. Hey, we had that 10-win season. Remember, we beat Georgia. Like, Venables had that year too, right? And so it's like it's very similar in that kind of mindset that we'll have to see. OU fans are confident, man. They're feeling like they're
pretty confident every year, man.
I know, it's never changed.
Well, but, I mean, if you're an OU fan of the last since Stoops, why wouldn't you be confident?
Correct.
It's kind of always worked out.
Yeah.
Even the much despised Lincoln Riley, who they really still have an issue with. I mean, even you could tell things were slipping, but he was still coaching them and offensing his way to wins and winning the Big 12 or whatever. Yeah. And Sooner fans are like, I feel like the underlying foundation is not good, but we're winning. That's what we do. Yeah. And so they still have that feeling of we just roll our helmets out and we win a football game. And Texas fans felt that way heading into 2010, right? And they didn't know they were going to have an 11-year walk in the wilderness, more or less.
Well, even the concept of Sooner magic, right? Like that leads to that thinking.
Our Sooner-osity will win this game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I can't remember if it was Chris with a K, who it was, but they said our Sooner jerseys are imbued with Sooner magic. When we were facing them like 3 or 4 years ago, we were like, you don't have the horses. What are you talking about? And they were like, our jerseys are imbued with Sooner magic. That's how we win. And I was like, all right, it's going to come get you eventually.
Well, it's like if you read about the Boxer Rebellion in China,
yeah,
they would do these rituals where they believed they were bulletproof.
Yeah,
and then they would attack the colonial occupiers of China at that time. And
that's the ghost dancers too in the U.S.
Ghost dancers, the Sioux, they thought that they were imbued with, I'm immune to bullets, and they found out that they were not immune to bullets.
Yeah, I remember reading an account of when they went into battle and realized that was not the case. And that was quite an identity-shattering moment.
It's not good to have have you ever seen like the early stages of the UFC when they had no weight classes and it would be like, I'm a ninjutsu specialist. Yep. And they'd fight like a Thai boxer.
Yep.
And the boxer would just beat the crap out of the guy.
Yep.
And you'd see the like look of alarm on his face. Like, this doesn't happen when I beat up my students, like going
my whole world view just changed.
Yeah. I feel like there's some element of that.
Yeah. Early UFC was incredible. Paul, I can't find a good lead in here, but tell him who the best man in the land is for mortgages.
You know what? You don't need a good lead in to go with the best. That guy is Gabe Winslow. You need to call this guy. He's amazing at what he does. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. 20 years in the industry. He's got a law degree, former National Merit Scholar at the beloved University of Texas. He doesn't care where you went to school. He wants to help you out. He wants to help you realize your dream of home ownership. Connor, buying a house, it's the biggest individual financial decision 99% of us will ever make. If you're a hedge fund manager, maybe it's not your biggest financial decision. But even if you're a hedge fund manager, call Gabe. He can operate at high levels. And he's a mortgage broker, which means he's going to shop your deal to 70 different lenders. He is not constrained to just doing Chase or Wells Fargo or whatever, fill in the big bank, 6 hours of working a week kind of banker guy. You got to go with the guy who's got some fire, who's got some motivation, and who goes out there to kick ass on your behalf. That's Gabe. 832-557-1095.
Hell of a read, Paul.
Damn it. I didn't read.
I wouldn't have been able to do it because
you can't read.
Yeah, I can't read. So
hey, I've got some blinds with a ray of sun hitting me exactly at my eye.
Yeah.
And I can't really see and I feel like it's burning out my cornea. Is that healthy for me long term, or
Absolutely, and it's cinematic.
It is.
That's also important.
Whenever I make a good point,
yeah, exactly. It works. All right, Paul. He headed to Columbus. He was hiding in the dumpsters. He scouted Ohio State. He can tell us what we're looking for. Turns out Ohio State's going to have some talent on their team. This is shocking development.
It is a shocker.
Yeah. So, but maybe not as good as last year, though, right? There's some hope here. So let's check it out.
So a little like Texas, we are facing a team that's going to put a lot of guys in the NFL. We think as many as 15 Buckeyes are getting drafted. So just like Texas, who will have double-digit guys drafted, there's going to be a little bit of a rebuild and a reload because both programs have a lot of talent. That talent is unproven in some areas. It's young in some areas. And there's a couple of glaring holes. They also have the best wide receiver core in the country, the best pass-catching core in the country. Let me expand that definition. Yep. We'll cover that, and we'll also cover some of their flaws that I think even they realized, hey, we need to plug this up in the spring. So I did watch the Ohio State spring game. I'll start off just giving you some impressions of Julian Sayin. He started with the ones. He led them on 3 consecutive touchdown drives. Once he did that, they sort of put him on ice and then just played all the other quarterbacks. Sayin is the guy. They're going to say that it's still a quarterback battle. Day's going to do it's. He's the guy. The thing that jumped out to me about Sayin, lightning quick release. The ball gets out so quickly. And I don't mean the design of the play gets the ball out quickly. That's different than what I'm describing. What I'm saying is whatever the play call, the minute he decides to throw the ball leaves his hand. There's no windup. It's not at his hip. And the ball gets out immediately. And that's impressive. He throws a nice ball. It looks good. He throws different types of balls well. He can put different sorts of juice on it, depending on the type of throw needed. I will say, if you're critical of Sayin, he's not a big guy, and he's not big in the pocket. And what I mean by that is he's not a sturdy, big, strong guy, or even a scrambler or a runner where he can create more opportunities. He's not immobile, but he's a guy that if Colin Simmons is running by and can't quite get to him, but he gets a hand on him, he will alter his throw or pull him down. Whereas Will Howard would shake it off and take off running or throw the ball, right? He's not 6'5", 250. He looks like a smallish 6 feet, 6'1", high 190s kind of guy. So if you can get some pressure on him, he'll fold in the pocket. If he gets a nice clean pocket, he looks like a nice pure thrower of the football.
So fun fact, Julian Sayin would have likely been our quarterback at Texas if there was no Arch Manning. Him and Sark were cool. So Sayin was, Sark liked him a lot, if that helps you guys understand his potential. All right. Wide receiver, tight end, Paul. This is where the rubber meets the road with the.
They are loaded. So we know Jeremiah Smith is really good. We know that Carnell Tate is really good. We know Max Clare, unfortunately, is good because Texas went after him hard, but he's a Midwest kid that clearly wanted to play at Ohio State. He went to Purdue. He is Gunnar Helm. He's Gunnar Helm. That is who he is. He is 6'5", runs. He's an easy runner, easy mover, great hands, knows exactly where to go. He is going to kill it at Ohio State because people are going to be so terrified of those wide receivers, Connor. He is going to get coverage by like a linebacker. And
he's going to be right up the seam.
He is going to destroy most of the people on their schedule. Jeremiah Smith's going to kill it. Carnell Tate's going to kill it. Their third wide receiver, I didn't get to see as much. He's going to be good. Dude, their backups, Connor, are really good. Ohio State is a factory at wide receiver. I mean, surprise, surprise. I think their twos would be the ones at every other school in the Big Ten, except maybe two schools. Like, they're just loaded at wide receiver. We have got to find a way to get pressure on Sayin. That's going to be the battle because we're not going to be able to cover all those guys at once for 4 seconds play after play.
When I saw, we got a comment, I think even on Mosley's video, somebody's video, where it's like, we're good at wide receiver, man. We have good depth there. It's like, no, man, you got to look at the other top. We need another guy there.
But we need to not get caught sniffing our own farts, man. Like, it's like you go watch the Ohio State scrimmage and you'll be like, okay, that's what we need to have running around at wide receiver. And for a team that had Xavier Worthy, Whittington, and A.D. Mitchell on the same wide receiver core, we should know what good looks like. Yep. And that's what we should be aspiring to if we want to unlock Arch. So we need to add that portal guy at wide receiver and tight end. Very impressed with this unit. The offensive line looked pretty good, especially run blocking. We won't know how they are until their left tackle, who's a transfer from Rice, goes against Colin Simmons in Columbus. That will be very interesting. By the way, that dude, 6'6", 350, and moves pretty decently. I don't know how he ended up at Rice, but good job, Rice. But this also illustrates the tough luck of being a G5 program that identifies a star, potentially, right?
Were we not in on him?
I don't know.
Maybe because we have a left tackle and maybe didn't want to play right. But I feel like, dude, if you're at Rice, why would Texas not try to grab you?
I don't know. But I'll tell you, that guy's he's not played a Colin Simmons yet, so that'll be a lot of fun. Here's where I thought that they need some improvement. I like their linebackers. I like their secondary. Their whole D-line it's going to get completely revamped. They lose 4 starters. All 4 will be NFL players. Those 2 edges, if you guys will recall, were both about 270, 275. Yeah. They could run through your tackle or they could run around your tackle. They do not have guys comparable to those guys physically anymore. They've got more like hustle quickness dudes who win on like motor, but they're not as complete. Their defensive tackles take a big step back. So Ryan Day said straight up right after the scrimmage, we're going to the portal and we need to go get a defensive tackle.
Okay.
So, I mean, he just said it. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be in the bidding war for defensive tackles right along with Texas. I think that they probably regret not retaining Hero Kanu, letting him get to Texas. We'll see. But their D-line got pushed around, Connor. Like, pushed around.
I need to go watch it. I didn't watch the highlights from it. I need to go check it out.
I don't want to overstate it, but the running backs had a lot of room and a lot of space. So that, I think, was the thing that Buckeye fans felt bad about. When they watched their offense and they watched their receivers running around and their tight ends, they must feel very good.
Yeah.
So not only Max Clare, he had a touchdown, their backup tight ends looked really good as well. So, and they ran a bunch of their offense through the tight ends. I think that was by design. So,
well, yeah, because you're going to have coverage all on your outside receivers. So
I just think Claire, he is going to be in single coverage the whole year, and he is going to murder people.
I've also loved C.J. Donaldson when he was at West Virginia for years. Remember, he got injured versus us. That was kind of a scary moment. But I've always liked C.J. Donaldson as a big back. And you said he lost weight, which is interesting. But I thought that was a good pickup for him, too. I just loved his play style.
Yeah, he had gotten up into the 250s at West Virginia. And so when he transferred in, Ohio State said, hey, we want you below 240. And he's complied. He's a big guy with sweet feet. You guys all know what that kind of looks like at different levels of football. And that's him. And then I don't even know if he's going to be the starter. I think it's going to be Peoples, the high school recruit from San Antonio. I think he's their guy. He only carried it twice, and then they shelved him, which tells me they think he's the guy.
Okay.
And they got a freshman named Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Do you know who Bo Jackson is, Connor?
Never heard of him.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll Google him or something.
All right.
Linebacker, they won't miss a beat.
I don't think so.
Okay. Who was their big scary linebacker last year?
Cody Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so their linebackers last year were kind of like Blitz brothers. So if you recall, they would line up their 2 defensive ends over your tackle and then play the linebackers behind them, right? So out on the edge of your formation. And then you're like, oh, run up the middle. Well, no, because Micah Downs was playing middle linebacker / safety behind their 2 defensive tackles. And so if you tried to run to the edge, Texas, you're going to get thrown for a loss because they're literally just outnumbering you and out-positioning you. And if you try to run on the interior, they've got Downs cheating there inside. And so that defense, I mean, Caleb Downs. I'm sorry, I called him.
I think he was thinking Micah Parsons mixed with Caleb
Micah
Downs.
Parsons.
How they're playing him.
Exactly.
The scheme is like that.
Caleb Downs. I'm so sorry. Anyway, they ran, and I mean this in the best possible way, sort of this gimmick defense that was also sound because of their personnel. And then the added part is these 2 linebackers were both big, physical, fast guys, and they would cross blitz them. And so it was just overwhelming. If you watch that Tennessee game, I mean, it was just, oh my God. Yeah. Nico should have held out and just sat out that game because I think they sacked him 9 times. And just, I mean, I've never seen a complete thumping of an offense as complete as what Ohio State did. So,
especially in the playoffs.
So I think the real interesting thing for them, Connor, is going to be Matt Patricia replacing Jim Knowles, because Jim Knowles did a terrific job of coaching them. And weirdly, they had this weird power struggle at Ohio State between Knowles and his assistants, kind of the Ohio State deep state. And that was part of why he moved on. Not only was he proven right, but he just got tired of arguing with Larry Johnson.
Was that their DT coach?
Yeah. D-line. And so they brought in Matt Patricia. And I'll say this, Matt Patricia, obviously a wonderful tutelage, and he's, been under the best, but he is a guy who will over game plan and overcomplicate things sometimes. And I wonder if that's something that Texas can benefit from, where maybe he confuses his guys more than he confuses Arch Manning.
Like Florida did earlier in the season?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's got material, but they do have to upgrade that defensive line room. And it will be interesting to see how they play more straight up defense, because Knowles was running a really interesting stack version of a defense, but without the typical weaknesses that a stack defense should have.
Knowles was creative even at Oklahoma State, like how he used his Leo position. I've always liked Knowles' style. Like
he's super creative, and I really respect coaches who get to a place where they're stocked with talent. But he didn't just say, well, let's just play base. We're better. We're Ohio State. He's like, no, I'm going to craft a defense to our already good players' strengths. Yeah. And I'm going to double down. And man, Ohio State, after that Oregon game in the regular season, their defense dominated and really carried them to the title.
Yeah, they did all right versus us, I guess. All right, Caleb.
The defense won the game.
Yeah, for sure. Caleb Downs at defensive back. Man,
Caleb Downs, not Micah Downs.
I remember watching his huddle in high school as like a junior or whatever. I was like, man, this kid's got like all pro NFL potential, like hell of a player. He's frustrating to play against, but your eyes also just find him. Like when I'm scanning the defense, I lock in on him for whatever reason. He's hell of a player. Nothing surprising there. NFL will take him. He has one more year at Ohio State, right?
Well, he was a sophomore last year.
He played us versus Bama as a freshman.
Yeah, so he's a junior this year. He's done.
Okay, cool. That's good. See you later, dude. Good player. And then North Shore product, Devin Sanchez. Would have been nice to get him. He's a good player.
Yeah, we'll see. North Shore, they've had a rough
but I don't know if that's North Shore having a rough go or just a rough go with Texas. Because it feels like we've struggled.
I feel like kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. See if we can break the streak.
Hasn't been great with Texas. I know that for sure. Okay. So how are you feeling about Ohio State?
They're good. They're a lot like Texas. They've got, I think, a couple of glaring weaknesses that they're going to try to shore up in the portal. And then they've got some very obvious strengths that are impressive. If Sayin is the real deal, if you look at their schedule, the Big Ten is the top of the Big Ten is really good. The bottom and middle tier of the Big Ten just isn't that good.
Yes,
and I think Ohio State's got 9 guaranteed easy wins, even if they're just remotely competent. And then they'll have 3 challenging games, Texas being one of them.
So it still feels like they're going to play for their conference championship and get in the playoffs.
I think they're going to go to the playoffs just off of the wide receiver and tight end talent and dropping back and throwing the ball. I mean,
yeah.
I think they're going to put a lot of points on people, and they're not going to play many defenses that could pose a challenge to them. Texas will be one, Penn State, potentially Michigan, but Michigan loses a lot, man. So, and also Michigan's had some weird magic over them. So,
well, the amount of like first round, early round NFL talent Michigan had, and their record is so strange. Because like you're looking like they have Loveland, Graham, who's their other interior guy. They have Will Johnson. I mean, they have like 3 or 4 projected first rounders on that team.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was wild, their NFL talent for their output. But it also showed me that it's not all about pure NFL. It is about NFL talent. I'm not going to say that. But you can also have 3 or 4 first rounders and still not crush it if they're not at the right spots or you have a non-existent quarterback.
Agreed.
So I think Michigan was a good lesson that it's about talent, but talent's also not a guarantee. So
Day just gets caught up in his own head. And again, I mean, Ohio State fans don't like to hear it, but Michigan proved to be a blessing because
it did help them.
They went back to the drawing board literally in that gap between Michigan and the playoff game because they had a good layoff and they just redid everything completely.
And it worked, man.
It worked. Good for them.
It worked, man.
So I'm not sure whether to credit them for living up to their potential or to mark it against them that they didn't live up to their potential earlier. But
without that,
they're hoisting the trophy, and I guess that's kind of what history will remember, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. You're not going to be able to do a fun fact 10 years from now and be like, who did they lose to? They'll be like, I don't know, but they will remember who won it. So Ohio State, how do you think they match up with us? And here's the thing too, Sayin, young quarterback, Arch, young quarterback, but Arch has more actual experience.
Yeah.
So say Arch has more experience, but not as good as wide receivers. Sayin has less experience, good pedigree, less experience, but elite top tier wide receivers. What matters more there?
I hate to offer this cop out, but both teams are still incomplete. Both teams are not what they want to be. And I mean that developmentally with the players they have on campus now, but also who they're going to acquire in the portal. So until we're done with our portal shopping, I'm not comfortable answering that question. But if both teams get the sorts of players I think that they need, I think you're looking at 2 playoff teams playing early, right? But I think the game may mean less down the stretch of the season than you'd think at the time. Like it's going to be, this game is everything. We've got to win.
The end of the world, if you will.
Yeah, but I think as both teams mature over the course of the season, I think you'll see that they'll still both, whether you win or lose that game, you still have a good shot at going to the playoff if you take care of business.
Yeah, and also like a close loss matters there, right? I think the committee will kind of be like, hey, if both teams go on to play, that you might end up with a quality loss, baby.
The committee, for all their talk, still has a loss column bias. They just prefer wins, and they don't care about who you played. And honestly, it should really matter who you play. Like you need to reward Texas and Ohio State for playing each other.
Yeah.
If you want college football to thrive, you've got to reward Texas for playing Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame. You've got to reward Texas for playing these kinds of teams in the offseason. Otherwise, you just schedule Samford and blow them out by 60, and the committee goes, oh, look at their stats. And it's like, who you play should matter.
Dude, what they were doing with Ole Miss last year. It's like Ole Miss being team 70-0. Like, wow. And it's like, guys, we got to learn eventually what's going on here. We'll see. I don't think that's going to happen. I still think you're going to be commended for beating Samford by 70.
I know.
It's so brutal, dude. It's brutal. But thank you for doing that, Scout, so we can get a good kind of feel for them. And then what they need, also how they match up with us.
Yeah, I mean, and Ohio State fans, chime in on the comments. Let us know.
Oh, they will. They will.
Haha, Texas.
Yeah. We get Ohio State fans commenting on our post game from when they beat us to this day. And it's just like, all right, man. They're like, yeah, man, we beat you.
You lack character. And you're like, all right, whatever. I think it was just a fumble, man.
Yeah, like, we beat y'all. It's like, yes, we know.
Congrats.
That was kind of the whole post game of it, but it was good stuff. Chat, thank you guys as well. Paul, thank you as always. And then guys, don't forget the number one place, Inside Texas, $1 for 4 months. It's a hell of a deal. Also, when Texas plays A&M in baseball, awesome Inside Texas tailgate giveaway presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. This is all you can win. You don't have to pay for anything. Just come to the tailgate. We'll enter names. We'll randomly select the end, and you'll win all of this. Just make sure you got enough room in the car. It's pretty nice. Plus, hopefully we're still holding on to that number one by then. That'll be very solid. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Paul, chat, everybody, have a wonderful Tuesday. Peace out.
Hey.